I wanted to ask you this question, and I know we talked about this briefly when we had a call before. You mentioned it there. It's like it's hyper personalization, right, of my insurance experience, which is fantastic. But I've always seen there an inherent risk with hyper personalization of kind of risk analytics and understanding of risk, because the law of large numbers applies to insurance, and it's the what makes it work, and we kind of burden the cost as a society for kind of people that are slightly high risk, and it kind of it distributes itself to a point where we can still make profit. Obviously we don't underwrite with the hope that we pay everything, but it is kind of inherent in that. Do we risk with kind of increasing better understanding of analytics, personalizing our risk data to a point where some people are utterly uninsurable but who really need insurance? Is that potentially a risk that could happen?
I actually think it's the other way around. I think that if you can provide this technology, you open the market to policyholders that previously were falling between the cracks. Because the one size fit all doesn't fit all. And you already face this issue. There is a huge population that is uninsured, underinsured across the world. Mm-hmm. I think by having think about it this way. For a policyholder that already acquired a policy, if I change the terms, I bump the price, then I'm only going to get stuck as an insurance company with the policyholder that cannot afford other policies because something happened in their life, they're probably a bad risk. And if I don't bump the price at all, I might have underpriced a policy and gonna get stuck with this policy for life that is significantly underpriced. And usually what happens in those cases is that the insurance companies are trying to, as you said, so like play the game of big numbers, of large numbers, pull people into buckets and say, all the 40 years old going to get a price bump, all the 50 years old not going to get a price bump. And there is a lot of variability within that segment. If you're able to get something that's significantly more personalized, maybe this 40 years old is actually more similar to this 50-year-old. They just didn't fall in the right bucket. And you can group the population differently and say, those are the ones that, I'm willing to take the risk. And those are the ones that to take the risk, I would need to rethink pricing. And there is a whole spectrum there, but it's going to rethink the way insurance is being done. And the other thing is that it's also going to be much more explainable. So if you're 40 and the 40-year-old gets a price bump, you cannot turn 50 overnight and, don't get your price bump. But if the price bump is coming because certain parameters in your policy that is not your age, because now you're able to personalize it better, the amount of savings you have, the way you distribute your policy, the premium level that you're paying, your face amount or something like that. There are other parameters that you could play with that the policyholder can have influence on. And the policyholder can say, my threshold is that I'm not willing to pay more than $5,000 a year. But I also think that I need this policy until I'm 120. So there is there's a zero-sum game. And being able to run this analysis and say, if I wanna be there and I'm only willing to do this is what I need to compensate on. But if I'm willing to change my parameters or change my restrictions, then I can go different ways. It becomes a product that is more suitable to bigger population, because it's not just, you to buy, a $1,000 policy or a $5,000 policy, either buy this or that. You have all the spectrum in between.
It comes back to that communication. I think you're so right. I mean, your policy just goes up. I was just thinking that you're saying that I'm 39, I'm turning 40 this year. And I know there's certain things like that will either get cheaper just automatically because I'll be a lower risk. And in other areas, maybe life and health insurance, with some people that could be like a lazy metric of going, right, well, you're more expensive now. Whereas, because it's the pandemic, I've like a lot of people, I've stopped drinking for about 18 months. So my my risk has probably gone down dramatically.